Former Dallas Cowboys Michael Irvin facing some serious health issues. He may have the same illness that took his own father's life. Today we are learning a little bit more about throat cancer and the signs and symptoms that you should look out for. Here's Damon Fernandez.
It's this Instagram post of Michael Irvin in his doctor's office this week that continues to have people showering the sports legend with messages of support as Irvin waits to learn if he has throat cancer. Friends, fans, and former football players are taking to social media, lifting the former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver with encouraging words. Irvin's former teammate Emmitt Smith writes, "We will continue to pray for you and your family, my brother." Troy Aikman chiming in too, saying, "Lots of love and support for you, Irv." The 53-year-old former athlete is being transparent about his fears, sharing he decided to see specialists after losing his voice and dealing with that ongoing issue for 2 months.
These are usually cancers of the larynx, which is just this part of your body right here.
Dr. Jared Sturgeon is a radiation oncologist at Texas Center for Proton Therapy. He isn't treating Irvin, but specializes in a variety of cancers, including those in the head and neck.
So the hoarseness he experienced is actually one of the most common symptoms. Another one is just a general sore throat that doesn't go away for a long time. Some patients will have problems swallowing. Others may even have problems breathing.
Sturgeon says throat cancers are commonly treatable through a variety of techniques. He stresses early detection is key.
The biggest risk factors for these throat cancers are heavy drinking and smoking, so quit those.
On social media, Michael Irvin's calling throat cancer a demon that has chased his spirit all his life. His father had the disease and lost his life at age 51. As the playmaker waits for doctors to reveal his diagnosis, former Cowboys player Tony Casillas writes, "Brother Michael, your passion and strength will guide you through a time of the unknown." In Dallas, I'm Damon Fernandez.
And we've seen so many of you obviously pulling for Michael Irvin as well.